Looking at Genesis chapter 3 and verse 20. Here beginneth the reading of God's holy word. And Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. The word of the Lord for the people of God. You can take your seat. And so we are yet hanging around the year theme, Kingdom Preserved. And then today, of course, being Father's Day. Wow, Father's Day 2024. We want to minister from the sermon topic, it's time to tend to the garden. It's time to tend to the garden. Mankind was placed in the Garden of Eden. It was Eden, the delight, the place for the light of God. Eden, it means pleasure, delicate, delight, pleasure. Yeah. There is something about the initial habitation of God's man that beckons me to talk about the men of today and who they are and where they are as it pertains to God's desire for humanity. Church, as you look around the world and as you look around Bermuda, you must conclude that the ultimate earthly garden called the family has been left to experience being unkept. The paradise has experienced the piranha of perilous times. The Eden has experienced even that what ought not to be spoken of in a sacred space. The garden has gone wild and is now unkept, as it now is a reflection of what happens when God is removed from the life of man. Church, in order to understand the full impact of where we are, we must understand God's beautiful purpose for the pinnacle of his creation, man. In a time when the female believes that she can be a father, this is dangerous and erroneously supports that men can back away, go away, choose to stray from their role as it pertains to relationships. Let me park it right there. You can't have women complaining on one hand that we can't find him, we can't get the money, he isn't here, but then when he tries to be here and be there, you're pushing him away. Yes, I know that we are living in an upside-down world where humanity has convinced itself that we may do as we want. Oh, my goodness. Humanity has decided to play God and go against the order of God. Yet, while there are those who want to play God, let us be clear that there is only one God, God and God alone. Hey, bye. Right there. If you don't believe that, this sermon is over. You must have shut down the internet and pack it away. But my God, do I have any Christians that still believe it is God and God alone? It is by God. It is from God. It is with God. It is of God. It is all God and God alone. Here in the time when that we shall spend together on this day, let us be clear that the first order of business is to order ourselves after God. Order ourselves after the one that, yeah, I think I will put both my hands up. I think I would want to order myself after the one that caused that out of the deadness of sleep, the coma of sleep, that he woke me up this morning. Do I have anybody grateful that he breathed the ruah, he breathed his breath of life and decided that you should be alive today to experience this day? You've got to know it's God. And so as I minister today, and as I encourage fathers to get back to the garden and to tend to their garden, I am not saying to tend to your garden according to your mindset. I am saying to understand how God set things in order, and thusly, if you desire the best outcome for your family, you will have to see the beauty and benefits of fitting your life after the plan and purpose of God. It must be done God's way to get the best results. By the time a preacher lives in, superintendent, when the first people that I got to convince about that is the church. What kind of life, what kind of time when the pastor has to first convince the Christian that God is right? How much more difficult then it becomes for the world. If your garden, here we go, if your garden looks nothing like God's garden, you need to renovate. If in your garden you permit there to be the growth of sinful thorns and thistles, you need to renovate. If in your garden you are still listening to the sneaky instructions of the subtle, slithering snake, you need to renovate. You got to do something different. Church, a real father, according to God's word, will be planted in the garden, will prepare the garden, propagate the garden, present the garden. Come on, somebody. Present it. You got to present. This garden ain't yours. You got to present it back to God. Jesus. You think the child, she looks like mama or daddy. He looks like mama or daddy. Can I tell you that God is expecting that child to return to him looking like what he made it when he joined the egg and sperm together? And the moment that we get the egg and sperm conclusion into our room, what do we do with that human being? God is expecting it back. Before man, listen to me now, before a man can become a father, God is expecting that this man knows how to tend the garden. Hey, look. Just some advice. One of the worst things. Don't have a child with a mama's boy. Oh, Lord. I ain't got my notes, but that hit me. He's still on his mama's breast. He's still saying, let me go up the hill, see what mama's got to eat. No. He not finished learning how to tend to a garden. No. He's still receiving the produce from mama's garden, you see? You got to look for a mature man. All right. I put it to you at the beginning of this sermon that while Adam knew how to prepare and propagate the garden, he made the wrong choice when he presented the garden to God. He should have kept a closer eye on things. However, he, I believe, got caught up in propagating the garden, and this allowed time and space for the serpent to propagate in the missing space in Eve and plant the wrong seed and bring forth the fruit called sin. Pastor, explain that a little bit more. I will. If you have men that are more about money, but are not attached to God, that's not going to be a good fit if you are a child of God. That's why, as much as possible, I knew it, you don't be unequally yoked. It's just going to be an issue. Now, if it becomes an issue, then you're going to have to deal with your issue because that's your choice. But the unity, why do you think you have to get together to have one? Because you should be together to keep one growing and maturing like they should. It's the truth. And so now, today, instead of Adaming the way God desires, they are still eating of the forbidden fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and not presenting the garden back to God in the condition that he gave to them as a present. Rather, far too many fathers today have turned their back on God and their seed are following them. Hence, we have fathers who are not married to mothers. Hence, we have fathers today who allow and applaud sinful lifestyles of the children and even encourage them to go astray. That reminds me, no commercial. Monday or Tuesday, we're going to be doing a live because I need to talk to the church people about how you should not come in agreement with the sin of your children. Yeah. In other words, AKA, why open the door of hell and push them in? Okay, that's just a little preview. So start talking about me right now. I need as many people on board watching it. Because I saw a reel that was the realest, the silliest, stupidest, most immature, most backwards. I don't know any more names I can say real I've ever seen in my life. So I'm glad I'm going to be teaching on this. All right, stay tuned. Stay tuned. I continue with the points here. In God's Garden of Eden, Adam, listen to me, dressed it. Today, fathers allow their sons to cross-dress. This is not tending to the garden. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. In God's Garden of Eden, Adam delighted in God's presence before sin. Today, too many fathers are not seeking God's presence any day of the week. I'm at the point, worship whatever day. You set aside someday. Church, today on Father's Day 2024, I pray to show you a clear reasoning by which fathers today must reconstitute the loins of their minds. Not those loins. Those loins have got it together. You're propagating. No. Get these loins of your mind to mind the business of God and get their families in order. So let's both challenge and encourage the fathers today as I deal with the following 3 points. Point number 1, the potential. The potential. You know, and let me just say here, because I always want people, I don't want people to get down in the mouth. We can't change what's going on. You never can. My family, your family, trust me, anything in the world, I've got it in your family. We all got it. But what we want to try to do is learn, and then from moving forward, do it different. Is that okay? Yes. You know, don't put up the block and all that type of stuff. No, because that's the enemy stopping you from learning. All right? All right. So that was point number 1. Point number 2, the prerequisite. The prerequisite. And then point number 3, the package. The package. Point number 1, the potential. As I pondered the text and the flow of it, I decided that I had to do something that I rarely do if I've ever done it. And that is, I need to take you to the last verse of our focus today, the text, and speak to it so that we must understand the very spirit of what was said earlier. All right? So therefore, let's take a look, church, at verse 20. Verse 20. It reads, and Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. I'm telling you, this is going to hit me like a ton of bricks because I hadn't seen it before. Right, here we go, just in this verse. I want to talk about potential. God called Eve a mother before she had children. It's simple. This blew me away, for it meant that God called Adam a father before he had children. Potential. God knows what he has placed in the womb of humanity. It is God's will and God's wondrous way for a man to plant seed in a woman and to have that seed grow, and for that father to tend to his home garden as a diligent caregiver of that which God has given to him. Of course, you do know the issue. The issue is we're not getting married, so he ain't home. Then when they grow up and got a bunch of great nieces, great nephews, you know, all this type of stuff, what they got to do? Every other week, go to his garden. Don't tell me Show me that in the book. Eve, you live over there. Adam, you live over there. You can get together in the bushes. Do what you do. You had the baby, and then you didn't see none of that. And I'm here to tell you, church, listen. We want to look at it as being, oh, that's old-fashioned. No, it's right fashion. It's family fashion. All right. What this further tells us is that before there were children, God had planned that there would be an Adam who understood the profound implications of one, God's planet, the world. Two, God's place, the womb called the garden. Three, God's person, the womb man called Eve. And four, God's promise, the willingness to cover them always. See, God, why do you think step on the neck of the enemy? Why do you think the enemy it can't stand June, especially fathers? Why God try to have Pride Month being June? To come against fatherhood, to come against marriage. He can't stand marriage. He can't stand fathers. Because it's after the children. Because he wants to populate hell. While God wants to populate the kingdom of heaven. That's the fight. Heaven versus hell. That's it. And so, since God is omniscient and knows the end from the beginning, God already called Eve the mother of all living before she became a mother of one living being. This means that while God was looking at a man named Adam, he saw a father named Adam. I just want to say here that we now live in a world where too many Adams are not being raised to be loving and tending or caring potential fathers. How are they supposed to be a potential father when they're 8 years old, they're seeing their father come out and beat his mama? How are they supposed to be a potential father when they hear the mother curse and say, I can't, and you remind me of, and you look just like them, and see where we're gotten to? All we're doing now is reaping the whirlwind. This has all been planted 40 years ago. So we can't look at today's generation and say what's wrong with their parents. Nope, go a little bit further back. A little bit further back. Ask what's wrong with their grandparents and great-grandparents. Adam's potential. I can recall, and Reverend Eunice, you would know what I'm talking about. I can recall as I would travel to different conferences, and I would see the males in charge of worship leading, but they had no leading lady. They were potential that still to this day have not walked out as reality. They cared more about their hair, about their looks, about their tight-fitting clothes. I watched it. I said, Eunice, we can't come to this conference anymore. It got worse and worse. Ain't nobody fine, nobody married to a woman. Anyway, so let me make a statement here that procreation is the heart of God. Don't miss that. Okay, stay on the script, Maria. Procreation is the heart of God, and that to have males, now listen to the sentence, who prefer not to join in holy wedlock, and they prefer to not have a wife, this is contrary to the initial state of the garden. I know that some may not desire to marry, yet the danger is that with no wife and no children, a man tends to his own keeping in a way that is not manly at all. If your hair has got to be more on point, if your hair has to be more, no strands out of place, if your face has to have but just put a little powder on it. If you're in the mirror, man, more than the woman, that's an issue. The man's job is to get a bath and smell right. That's it. The women's job does a little bit. You got to, okay, all right, I'm going to go somewhere. I think you're awake. Okay. So boys ought to be raised by fathers who are husbands and who show them how to be potential husbands. How can a father fulfill their role 100% when they do not live in the same garden as their children and have no wife? Eve in the garden. You ain't his Eve. You ain't his rib. You may be a spare rib. You may be a pork rib. You may be a burn. I know what kind of burn. A chicken burn, a neck burn, a back burn, a tail burn. But you're not his Eve. See, we don't like that. It's the truth. You ain't his Eve. You ain't his rib. God deals with potential and that it should become what is seen. Point 2, the prerequisite. God is a responsible father, and so before the children come along, God speaks to the condition of growth in the garden. No, not the growth of the bird, the bees, the flowers, and the trees. Adam learned to work when he was on his own. God prepared him to work while he was on his own. You've got to learn the go. You have a husband. You have a honey-do list. Honey, do this. Honey, do that. Honey, do this and that. Honey, you forgot to do this, do that. Honey, if you don't do this, you ain't getting that. I didn't say that. Thought I would let you laugh on that one. You should never be fixing somebody else's garden when your garden is not tended to. And then at that level, you should just not be tending to anybody else's garden. Okay. If not, it can be the first murder. Okay. Leave that Lindsay. Leave that Lindsay. Yeah. Now, Adam and Eve, with the impending family, Adam must know how to protect the seed that is to come. Fathers, how do you protect your family? Go to verse 3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest ye die. This verse tells me a lot. And in this point too, I want to point out to you how fathers can succeed. First thing I want to speak to is the presence of every man's butt. Every man's butt. In every home, in every garden, a man who is a husband will have a challenge. If we're looking at Genesis, that's all I'm going to ever ask you to do is look at the book of Genesis. God puts everything in Genesis to show us what is to be the challenge. And if Adam had a challenge, every man's going to have a challenge. It's not the same challenge, but there is a challenge. I put it to you that the challenge in a marriage is not the presence of that which shall ruin you and your marriage. No. That does not have to be the end of it. After all, God put you together. See? We look for the obvious things. Infidelity, abuse at a certain level. One time. Then put him in jail. But anyway, one may experience certain things and forgive. That's what I'm saying. But no habitual stuff. Marriages will have challenges. Yet because God put you together, that's why God said, that which he hath joined in his marriage, do not let man divide or destroy that. It's not his marriage that's destroyed. It's your presence in his marriage that's destroyed. People can speak diversity, equity, and inclusion all they want. If God did not have it in Genesis, do not allow it on your premises. Come on, somebody. You like that? I did too. If God did not allow it in Genesis, don't allow it on your premises. The moment that you see, the moment that a real wife sees a husband going astray, you got to deal with that thing right there. If not, if you let it happen over and over and over and over again, he's going to say, well, you didn't complain about it the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. So you got to deal with things just like that. Know what your garden looks like. God in the text in verse 3 warns Eve about one thing, about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Therefore, the one thing, I said one now, the one thing that will ruin God's garden for marriage and family is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Okay, help you out right there. Sadly, because mankind sinned, that tree has propagated since the fall in the garden. You have nowhere in the Garden of Eden. We're no playboy. We're at Epstein's Island. See, some of you don't know what's happening. We're at Oprah's. I don't need a man. Put that man over in the building over there when I need. It's the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. Hear me, because that tree has propagated, meaning it has grown exponentially with every century, with every generation. There, man has done what? What was evil. If mankind can think of it, it is done. The evil. And this is what families have to grow up in. So if we don't have God in the garden, and we're left to the tenets of this world, oh my! You have the month of June in the year 2024. Today, let's talk about the tree. Today, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil tells mankind that abortion is fine. Smoking and drinking is fine. I didn't see any abortion in Genesis. I didn't see any smoking and drinking in Genesis. Today, they'll tell you this tree, pornography is fine. Swinging, open marriage is fine. Yeah. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil simply beckons mankind to feel. And then do what you feel like. Oh, boy. My journey was Adam. But it's the woman you gave me. Then Eve picks up my journey. Well, it was the subtle snake. Then the snake picks up my journey and is cast down. Don't allow your journey, your testimony to be the pathway of your life. Ask God, God, lead me, guide me into truth, guide me by your way. Let me walk according to your pathway. If not, we do have a way we want to go. And we will always justify it, always. The intrusion of sin into this first couple and first potential family, because they ain't got any children yet, led to the landlord, or should I say the land god, expelling them from the perfect paradise to find another premises to live out their life. See? The first kicked them out. Yes, your children go that crazy, and you may have to kick them out. They said, that's not love. That's not. Give them the Bible. Tell them read Genesis. See that? See. Because what we don't want sin to propagate in the house. Now that the other children see you being rude, now they can be rude, and they can be rude, and they can be rude. So if you can't come in alignment with the rules of the house, you've got to go. No, but that means you don't love them. You got to love. Stay tuned for my talk. We got to love. Let me read verse 3 again. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. There will always be something in the midst of your garden, of your family. It has the potential to ruin the potential God has spoken of your life. It's in the midst. Let's never be so blind or so gullible to think that, oh, my man, 100%, nothing. It's in the midst of every garden, something. It may be something emotional, something psychological, something literal, whatever. It's always something in the garden that's going to test. Can you two stop looking at each other and look unto God who authored marriage in the first place? Because if you keep on looking at each other, you're going to keep on saying, but you're wrong, and you're wrong, and you're wrong, and you're wrong. And before you know it, everybody's wrong. Let's look at the word midst, in the midst, coming from the Hebrew word tavah, meaning midst, whether of space or place, a number of people or things, or a line, absolute, the middle columns. Midst, middle columns, an absolute line. Some lines you cannot cross in a marriage. There is an absolute. Because God is in the midst of it, there's an absolute. The picture is that marriage ought to have drawn in the middle a line of demarcation. A line in the sand, a plumb line that represents the columns of your marriage. This means that this line should not be crossed or mismanaged. For once touched, like the columns that Samson held on to, the building will crumble, okay? If you believe that you can step out on him or you can step out on her, you've just crossed that line. And it just might bring the whole house down. You see that? You see that? If you think that you can lay hands on her more than one mistake, I'll forgive it. Look, listen, to my pastor. Okay, maybe once. I might forgive once. I don't know. But anyway, my daddy ain't, I never seen my daddy hit my mama. So that's a standard right there. Right. Once you cross the line, you're going to cause the columns to come down. And you know what happened? Come on, you all know the story of Samson. Was it only Samson that died? It was everybody in the dwelling. And this is the danger of divorce. This is the danger of adultery. That it could be, you're not just going to hurt your wife. No. Husband, you're going to hurt your whole family. The whole building's coming down. It takes a strong man to keep a marriage together. It does. Yeah. God has a standard for his family. And the prerequisite is the wisdom note of warning that while much is going on, do not touch that middle line. Don't touch. That's listen. That there are lines you just cannot cross. After you jump the broom, don't replace the line. Leave the line alone. Leave God's marriage as he designed it. Come on, Bermuda. I said leave God's marriage as he designed it. A man and a woman. Don't cross God's line. God is not pleased when you try to get in his marriage and call it something that it isn't. God is not pleased when husbands who are fathers allow their sons and their daughters to behave in a certain way when you know that God has said that's not right. There's a line. And if he didn't show it to you in Genesis, don't you do it now. Don't bring it on your premises. Gonna help you out, everybody. I'm really going to help some people out because I saw a lot of confusion. A lot of confusion on that reel. I felt saddened because there's a churchgoer who should not be that confused. And should not be used by an organization to perpetrate such lies and falsities and illogical conclusions. So we have to deal with it. All right? So you want to carve out time because this is very serious because there was a huge red flag that was sent out. And we cannot leave it. We cannot leave it undealt with. So Simon's got to deal with it. Because if we leave it alone, the stench of sin in the nostrils of God will dictate you have crossed a line. In a greater extent, my God, I've never seen it. In a greater extent. So yeah, leave it as God did. God knew it. God knew what to call a man. He knew to call a man a father. He knew to call a woman a mother. Leave God alone. Is there a church people that will stand up for God? Are there church leaders that will stand up for God and not back down and not be afraid that no, this is what God said and for God we live. Shields up and for God we die. Come on, if I gotta die to friendship, if I gotta die to people proclaiming how nasty I am, how hateful I am, I ain't worrying about you. I'm gonna stand on the word of God. I'm gonna speak what God says. I'm gonna declare his word because there's a young woman, there's a young man, there's a teenage boy or girl, there's a little boy, a little girl, and they need to know the truth. They need the truth. Understand the battle we're in? That such people would dare to lift up their hands. I hope they're not lifting up their hands, not to my God. I serve no God at this. I know what DNA go. I know Ray Russell and Diane because I've got some fight in me. You hear me? You hear me, church? Don't you accept what God did not accept. Don't you come in agreement and smile and grin in people's face. Oh, no. We're not going to do that. No, hate me, please. Condescend me, please. And nobody need to apologize for me, I mean what I say because I say what I mean. My God. Allison, if that ever came to dinner, I'm getting my iPad bag, my Go camera, and I'm going. You will have dinner I'm telling you. You will have dinner by yourself if you ever got there. I don't play. Who plays with the devil? Who plays with the devil? Who plays with eternity? When did the church start playing? This is serious. It's called sanctification. It's called God's standard. We must stand by it. That's why this order of men, fathers, that's what a real man, cover your son to be a real man. No. Jesus, okay, so you can get back. All right. God's order, before she was called Eve, she was a wife. This means that before Adam became a father, he was a husband. The institution is God's institution, and his order is best. Man may make decisions and ruin their home, but God protects his garden for marriage. Marriage is still honorable. I don't care if 98% of marriages fail, God would say, and my institution is still honorable, and it is still, we cannot change God. I want fathers to know and to understand that the devil has not changed. He still wants to interrupt your marriage and your ministry as a father. That's what I want us to understand. He wants to interrupt. Why you think? Yes. That's why things happen. Yes. That's why things happen. Yes. Because the devil, if you are a Christian, he is especially after your family to ruin it. It's the bottom line. For the initial instruction comes from God, who defined marriage and desired family. God's order, marriage between a man and a woman, and that this would now make Eve a mother in the making even before she had children. This would make Adam a father in the making before he even had a child. I vividly remember standing in Heritage Hall. My husband and I are about to get married. Bishop Goodwin C. Smith, he says, and if it be God's will that thou would have children, something like that, he said. And instantly right there, I witnessed, I have the potential to be a mother, but I'm going to have issues. I just knew it. I knew it. Yet I understood I'm a bride, and in the wedding vows, it's speaking about my potential of motherhood. And so we need people getting married to understand this is a possibility, that a family comes out of marriage. The enemy has removed marriage, so he doesn't want family. That's what I'm trying to tell man. And you've got to snatch your family back. You've got to snatch back the idea, I am a man built for a family, not built for a fling. People going to get injured in the fleeing. Doesn't say that, fling-a-ding-a-ling. But people just can't get injured. Just can't get injured. Fling it over there, fling it over there. No, get married, have with that one. See God's perfect plan? Okay. Marriage is for grown-ups. That's a statement. Marriage is for grown-ups. Let's flash back. I want to do a flashback. Genesis 2 and 15. You're right out? Genesis 2 and 15. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Before there was ever a woman or a wife, there was Adam with the job of his life. He was to dress and keep the garden. Hey, Adam, I'm training you, boy. Dress and keep, dress and keep. The word dress coming from the Hebrew word abad. To work, serve, be bondman, bond servant, compel, do, heir, execute, husbandman, keep, labor, perform acts of worship, honey-do. Before God brought the woman, God was already teaching a man, I'm showing you what to do because I'm about to bring on somebody, and that's what you're going to have to do with her. Dress and keep. Keep coming from the Hebrew word shema. To keep, guard, observe, give heed, generally to protect, attend to, look narrowly, observe, preserve, regard, save, like you're saving yourself. Watchman, what? This is the job of a husband. Dress her and keep her. Keep her dressed. Did I say something right there? If she wants a dress, get her the dress. You're a man. Ain't that what you working for? You ain't working for no other woman. What she wants to be dressed with shoes, get her these shoes. If she goes out there looking kind of strange, it's on you, Ken Seaman. He knew it was coming, you know. He ain't looked at me yet for the last 45 seconds. He ain't looked because I know you. No. Talk about his writing his notes. You listen to him. See if he has anything that I said right there. That he's going to say, I ain't paying you no mind. Your job, now he's got to prove it. All of a sudden, he's a lawyer. I will say again. dress and keep. And I like the fact, now this is important to me, narrowly. And it should be her. I don't care how good looking the other one is. You better make sure your eyes stay very straight when I'm looking at you. Because these critters, you know, when you're not there, they'll be looking at other women. We think we're crazy. But when I'm there, you better, I don't care if she looks like 220s and I don't care what she did. If she brought front and brought back, you better make sure you're narrow. Because you're only dressing and keeping one woman. Why would a man want to dress and keep more than one? That's what I want to know. Because if you're my husband and you're dressing and obviously I haven't asked for enough dresses. Because y'all got money to spend on. Okay, we can work this. I jest, yet I'm very serious. That you're ready to be a husband. Oh, this is so good. When you're ready to narrow your vision to only one. One and only one. That's it. Right, Mama? That's why Daddy talks about you're his flamingo girl. It doesn't matter. He says, some of these, he said in the house, he says, sometimes they try to talk to me. You know, but I said, I only got one eyes for one person. That's right. That's right. I know what you did, Mama, but he ain't ever going for, he forgot you done. Only have eyes for, only got eyes for you. Yes, sir. Talk about Diane, that's it. But that's the way you want. Everybody in the hospital know, yes, your mama's named Diane. Yes, it's Flamingo Girl. And of course, the funny part, you know my mama is, but I'm telling you, what a looker. Because she had to be better looking than my daddy. Because he says he's so good looking, he'll marry himself, so you know. Right. I think that's the funniest thing he says. Anyway, you got to be narrow-minded. Only once you choose her, that's it. It's nothing to do with if somebody else is taller, thinner, good-looking, more rich. No, that's the one you chose. A real man, a real father knows how to keep to one woman, one mother, the mother of his children. How does a father do right by God? By dressing and keeping his wife. That's what God's looking at. How are you keeping your garden? How are you tending to your garden? How are you covering your wife and now your children? That's how God is looking at the situation. Okay. The man's job and his care of his own place to stay are the prerequisite to being a husband and a father. Always deal with that. It's so important. He must have a job. He must have a place where they are going to stay. It's a given. Takes me to point 3, the package. Yeah. 15 through 19, I read. The package. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman I said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Now, just to put a little plug, that means every time you sweat, you have to remember, I need to obey God. Because this sweating, this labor, is because somebody disobeyed God. Right? So don't blame the sun, the heat, and the weather. It's the disobedience to God. Right? That's the key. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return to the ground, for out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. Church, there is a package deal when you break the seal of God's marriage. It's not going to be easy. It will never be easy. There's going to be some sort of thorn, some sort of thistles, and usually it's in multiplicity. Just stuff gets worse. When you disobey God's voice, you will always experience the products of that conception. You can't say it was never there. God told you how to be a man and a husband, and a father comes forth after these two qualities have matured. Say it again, Seaman. God taught Adam how to be a man. Look at the trees, the birds, look at creation. Examine it, name it. How to be a husband. Name it, tend to it, take care of it. Now you can be a father. This ain't no hormonal teenager. This ain't no 20-year-old sowing his oats. What oats? You got oatmeal? You got meal for him? No, just let him sow his oats. Now we got oatmeal over here, honey oatmeal, banana oatmeal, everybody. Because we're going out of God's pattern. A mature male is a husband and a father who will insist that his wife becomes the mother of his children. Now, church, in keeping time, I will expand on this another time, director. Yet let me emphasize that fathers must get back to God's order for God's world, God's garden, God's marriage, and God's family. It is not ours to redefine. It is not ours to legislate. Stop it, politicians. It's not yours. Don't touch it. The nerve. You will answer to God for touching what he defined. I know that. The devil wants to abort it. Yet fathers today decide afresh to stand for it. It's time to tend to your garden.